It's January the 29th, 2022, and ideas crossed my mind the other day because I was watching the Tucker Carlson program last night, and it occurred to me that Tucker Carlson here we should remember the fate of Glenn Beck when he decided to take on George Soros directly. But hopefully this won't happen to Tucker. And there may be reasons for that because I think at the time, well, let's go into all the details, but I think there were certain, let's say, vulnerabilities that key people at Fox News had. And I think that there was a little bit of blackmail going on from Soros, and also the fact that at the time, there's also the issue of advertisers and all. And as Tucker Carlson's pretty much been banned by almost all the mainstream advertisers, and now he's got a collection on his show that are somewhat similar to those that perhaps had advertised with the late Rush Limbaugh when he had all of his advertiser battles. At any rate, I wish Tucker the best on this, but I think it does suggest a political strategy going forward in the 2022 election and beyond. And I'll kind of go over this a little bit here. And the basic idea is kind of what I would call take a page from Saul Alinsky, where you pick your target and you focus on it and really drive home the message there. The Soros organizations have decided to commit $125 million to support Democrats in the upcoming congressional elections. And so it looks to me like there's a clear counter argument here that can be made. And I'll kind of go through this a little bit. By the way, if you like these videos, please subscribe because we need more subscribers. Give me a like, and any comments would be appreciated. You can click the bell and forward links to anybody be interested. But yes, I think what we could do from the Republican campaign is basically wage an anti-Soros campaign, basically. Soros is known already for backing radical prosecutors who basically refuse to enforce the law and let criminals go, which has obviously had a massive effect of driving up the crime rate, which is like probably one of the number two issues other than inflation that people are concerned about going into this election. And obviously inflation is due to a variety of things, but the one thing we can attribute it to are the Democrat policies of throwing out a lot of money as soon as they got in office. And I think that, and also I would even say the degree to which they insisted on doing it during the 2020 period. I mean, because after all, the Republicans may have went along with it, but they didn't have much choice. If they hadn't have gone along with it, they'd have been attacked for not going along with it at that moment. But now that we see the effects, I think that's also an issue. But I think the crime issue is more clear-cut, and also illegal immigration, another big issue. And Soros and his organizations that he's funded and established, and we can say, personally but both, have been obviously funding a lot of NGOs, and NGOs are a big part of bringing in all these illegal aliens, right, and all these caravans. So effectively, we have a perfect target to go after, and we can personalize it in this Alinskyite way. And obviously, the Democrats will be trying to do the same thing with Trump, of course, but we need to have our target, and that's Soros. And basically, we need to identify anybody who takes money and is even supported independently by the Soros fund of $125 million, and basically brand them as being for Soros policies. That their policies will follow where the money came from, regardless of what they're saying. They may be not telling you the truth, but and some of them even do in some of these elections in these cities. And what we need to do is basically focus on this issue and use this as a major counterattack issue in order to negate the money advantage that they may be giving these candidates. Because at some point, I think that all campaigns kind of reach a saturation point on TV ads and other forms of campaigning. You have to have enough to be well known, and enough that your positions are well known, and enough that the distinctions between your positions and your opponents are well known. But beyond that, I think this overly saturating people just kind of annoys people at some point. So I think this is a very viable tactic to really go after the whole Soros issue and his malign effect on U.S. politics, particularly the illegal immigration and crime issues. And I think that would be a very wise policy for the Republicans to follow, and one would hope they do. Um, and we wish Tucker the best of luck, because obviously he has taken on an evil force that will will try to go after him now. But he may be better positioned than Glenn Beck was at the time he was on there, for a number of reasons. Um, so anyhow, and then we can go on. So anyway, that's that. But I think it's a very useful idea. Another thing I would like to point out here while I'm on today is that I primarily post these videos on YouTube, but as we well know, YouTube has various policies. I think I've been doing okay here because I'm rather mild-mannered compared to a lot of people on my side of the fence politically. And the other factor is I think that I'm kind of below the radar with my now 58 subscribers. By the way, to the 3 that recently subscribed, thank you, appreciate it very much. And so, but nonetheless, as a fallback option, for some time I've been posting my videos on Rumble as well. So they are over there as well. And for those who are on Rumble, you can follow me on Rumble as well. So just to let you know that it is there. And if I do disappear from YouTube, you know where to find me. Okay, and the handle is the same, Corrality452. So and that's so that will be another option that exists. As well as, of course, the social media accounts that I list the handles to below in the presentation. Yeah, and I guess finally, as we're still kind of awaiting what's going to happen in the whole Ukraine crisis, I would like to point out that that's another Soros operation, by the way, the Ukraine revolution that happened back in, I think it was 2014, one of the color revolutions. But at any rate, it's unclear what's going to happen. It looks at the moment that negotiations are a bit at an impasse because the U.S. is completely unwilling to make any concessions at all on the thing, and they're simply offering supposed negotiation points I don't even think the Russians are interested in. I don't think the Russians are any more interested in reducing their military forces. And when you look at the pathetic state of many of the leading NATO countries, like Germany with its army of under 70,000 personnel, seriously? Only 3 divisions and a few stray other units. I mean, well, they have a good tank and a Leopard 2. They don't seem to have a whole lot of actual mobilized capability. So it just seems to me like that you can see why the Russians aren't that threatened by it from that point of view. But they probably are threatened politically and maybe strategically by what might be positioned by the U.S. right in Ukraine. At any rate, it's more of I think on both sides it's matters of principle get in the way of common sense. But all I'm going to say is they haven't attacked yet, and yet I understand that President Biden had some interesting phone calls with Zelensky the other day that may have been a bit of an embarrassment. We don't know what was really said, but apparently that they're claiming that the President Biden was effectively saying that that the Russians were just about to attack and to be prepared for a total conflict. So I don't know. It's hard to know. This whole thing, to me, it would seem to me that Russia would be very ill-advised to actually attack right now, because it looks like the whole West is getting more spun up to do some major economic sanctions, including blocking their pipeline. So you kind of wonder, why wouldn't they wait till the pipeline was actually online and operational and people were dependent on it before they would do something? Who knows? But hopefully this thing won't happen, and hopefully common sense will prevail. I mean, I would point out briefly at the end here is that it looks like Russia doesn't want Ukraine to become part of NATO, and we have a plan to bring them into NATO. For one thing, there is the whole issue of Crimea, and would that put us automatically in war with Russia? And there's also the Ukrainian corruption issues that are kind of in the way as well. But it just seems to me that that it's a battle over something we don't plan to do, and yet we won't say we won't do. And we're actually going to have a war over that? That doesn't seem to make any sense. But crazier things have happened. After all, World War I was started over a single political assassination. So, although they got his wife too, but I mean, the Archduke was the real target. And so At any rate, we can hope that common sense will prevail and something does get worked out. Right now, I think the problem is both sides have a real face problem, and that they don't want to lose face over this. And they both have dug themselves in so deep it's hard to negotiate at the moment. So anyway, we can hope for the best on that. And like I said, I'll close this for now, and until next time.